Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How you doing today, Steve?
Doing well, Tim. How about you?
Not bad. It's nice out again.
Another beautiful day.
It is. We're one day closer to our
5K.
5K death walk.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Amazon says our stuff's going to get here today.
Yeah, our pink tutu should be here. If not, I know the girls have one at the house, and we'll have to scramble last minute to find one because,
I can always put tissue paper around my
we can do something.
like floaties or something.
Have you decided what you're going to wear yet?
Athletic shorts and
Yeah, that's what I'll wear my...
I should wear my marathon shirt from 5 or 7 years ago whenever I did it, if I have it.
There you go. That'd be perfect.
If I could fit into it.
I'm going to wear my pink wife beater to go with my pink tutu.
Oh, nice. You're going to match.
Well, pink, what do you call it? Tank top? I don't want to say wife beater because that's probably a bad term, but
That is a bad term.
it is a bad term. Don't beat your wife or we'll beat you.
Exactly.
But no.
Treat everybody with dignity and respect.
Absolutely. So a few things from the school. They're doing first of all, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Sunday is Mother's Day. Do not forget your mom.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom, if you're watching.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. Mom, parents better be watching.
Yeah, they're watching.
If they're not watching, not happy Mother's Day.
No, my mom's watching.
Yeah, I know your mom's watching. I'm sure my mom watches too. I haven't heard anything, but
That's 2 of our 15 subscribers, or 30? Are we up to 30 now?
I don't know. We had 93 views on the show, the last two shows, and then we finally got today's show up this morning.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I think it's because we said Bill Gates had slowed everything down, and now that I've just said it again, this one will
Be slowed too.
Yeah. So speaking of Mother's Day, there's a plant sale. It's going on today. So Friday from 3 to 6 at the Votech, and it's going to be tomorrow from 8 to 3. So if you need plants for your mom, you want to get plants for the house, stop down there, support our students. It's part of the horticulture program down there with Mrs. Stevens. It's a great cause. And
Some of the best plants I got from the high school last year.
yeah, absolutely. I think it was yesterday I was driving by and I saw the truck out there dropping off all these plants.
Oh,
and,
nice.
They have a nice greenhouse and stuff down there. So definitely if you're going to,
It's going to be even better with the new CTE.
It is. I'm excited to see what that's all going to come out to be when we get going on that. But so there's that. And then also it's kind of a complete opposite side of the thing. So they're going to be treating the fields, the high school athletic fields, on Sunday morning, and they're asking everybody to stay off them until at least noon. So it doesn't say which fields, but I would just say don't go on any of the high school athletic fields until at least noon on Sunday.
For your own safety.
Yeah, so you could grow like a third leg or something maybe.
Yes.
It's possible, right? Also, congratulations to our junior marshals this year, Aura Parker and Darren Janicki. Congratulations, guys, for being chosen for that.
Awesome.
It would still kind of find it so weird that Jeff Miller was my mom's marching partner in high school during
Did
graduation.
you ask her about that since the show?
I didn't. I really need to because I was like...
It'd be a good Mother's Day conversation. Like, we've seen him at the fields, we've interacted, and
Right.
not one mention.
Not one mention. And now all of a sudden, I walked down the aisle with your mom at graduation. Like, that's big news in my
That's
book.
big news, yes.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
hopefully...
Small world.
Hopefully
Small town.
We'll get Jeff back on next week and get him in here, talk some more school stuff, some more sports. I know there's a few exciting things coming up. Tonight, there's the night track meet in Claremont. Is that right? Yep. And then next Friday, going to be a really cool thing. So Stevens and Claremont does this every year, I guess, for the last 12 years. I believe Jeff said that. So they'll do a game in Newport, high school softball and baseball. And then after that, they will play Newport, and then they go to Claremont under the lights, and they're going to play a game over there. So that should be a really awesome, exciting thing.
Double header? Double header.
Double header. So get out and support your local sports.
And right now, our girl is still undefeated?
Yes, from what I understand, they're undefeated, which is
awesome.
Is absolutely awesome. We also want to talk. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Let's talk about the rec center a little bit.
Yeah, we got some dueling flyers yesterday in the mail. Most of us probably got an orange and a yellow card. One against the rec center and another that's makes the argument for the rec center.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I remember, I think it was last year when we were doing this, it was not nearly as much like involvement and, people are obviously involved, and there's a sign out on the common and said how much you raised, and but this year I don't know if some people have like more fear it's going to pass, or I don't know, because it's crazy, because I think that's like the second negative flyer I've gotten. And so the tax impact, this orange one says starting at 74 cents, which that irritates me because that's not accurate. According to the Warren article, it had said the max tax impact was at 74 cents. Um, yes, it's true. Something could probably change. Like, I mean, anything I guess
Anything can
could
happen.
change, but everything we've been told right from the town at the deliberate session, everything else was the max impact was 74 cents. It's a $4 million tax. It's a bond, and then it's 8.6 million that would be fundraised or grants or whatever. So it's a possibility it actually could be less money because we could have other grants and stuff come in as well. So we're doing the math. I was getting my hair cut yesterday, and I was talking to Lisa, and she was like, we're talking about like, well, how much is this going to cost? And we are like talking numbers like $1,200 a year and all this, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Like, there's no way 74 cents is that. So I finally got back last night, and I was texting you, and I'm like, so if you have and you looked it up, the median house in town is estimated at 230,000, which I still kind of feel is kind of high,
Well,
but
I think the website took it for everything that's on the market right now, perhaps.
yeah.
Because
So
it had the low end at 55, which
right,
is like some property, and then
right,
the high end was at 400 and something.
right.
So
So let's, for the
it
sake
might
of
just be what's for sale right now, is the way it
right,
calculated it.
I would say for the sake of a discussion, let's say your house is worth 230,000. A 74 cent tax impact is $170 a year impact. And like I broke it down even to like day or weekly, and it was like $3 and something, so like a cup of coffee. And I know like some people can't. I mean, that amount's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money to someone on a fixed budget, and I understand. And the thing that gets me the most is some of the comments on Facebook talking about how people are trying to bully other people into this rec center, and it's just, I'm like, are you kidding me? No one's bullying anybody. Like,
Bully gets used kind of like the ist words. It's just
right,
people use it to try to shut you down. And
exactly.
I think why we've gotten, well, I only received one negative, but you had gotten two,
Yeah,
is because if you look at it, 3.9 million to repair it, 4 million plus donations for a new one.
right.
So just looking at it in that form and fashion, we're either going to get taxed at 3.9 to repair what we have, or we can get taxed for 4 million and have a whole new, convert the rec center to a community center with a lot more amenities, a lot more restrooms, ADA compliant. There's a lot of positive aspects to a new rec center.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this one, the vote no ones. We have underpaid and overworked teachers, underfunded police force, deteriorating roads and bridges, failing water and sewer infrastructure. Um, and then it's like, let your tax dollars fund a thriving town, a better schools and teachers and kids, and a strong and supportive police force while maintaining infrastructure.
So I look at the rec center as part of the infrastructure. It provides a
It is.
service to the town, whether or not you use it or not. That's for you to decide. But it is for the community. It's for us. It's for our parents, grandparents, our children. So to me, that's part of infrastructure. And then the political scientist in me says, okay, if we approve this, which from my perspective, if it's going to cost us 3.9 million, and that's to assume that they don't find any other things that are out of code. So that's what we know about right now. To bring it up to code, to get the necessary repairs, it could end up costing more than 3.9 million to repair what we have, which has one restroom, as PJ highlighted the other day, where if there's a game and you're coming after work and you're in the adult leagues, everybody has to wait their turn to go into one restroom. And so it takes, yes, I mean, it sounds petty, but the new one comes with, I think it says what, 5 restrooms?
Yeah, there was a ton of stuff on there.
Six restroom or bath. It says bathrooms, but restrooms, 4 of which have single stalls. A large one for females with 5 stalls. Large bathroom for male with 3 stalls, 2 urinals, 1 handicap. Seating for 500 spectators. I knew you had mentioned that you can't even, like, if
No.
you're playing something in there, you got to stand up against the wall basically to.
Yeah, if the kids play basketball in there, it's there's no seating. Like you're like almost in the in the court. You know, it's a couple feet away, and it's a tough deal. And then some of the talk's been also like, well, we don't have to do nothing. We don't even have to upgrade the rec center. And I'm like, so according to this orange paper, we need better schools for our teachers and our kids. But so if you do nothing, which you could as a voter, you can do nothing. You could vote this down. You could vote down the renovations, but you're talking about want to invest in your kids, and you're going to close the rec center.
And I agree. We need to invest in our kids, and I have
Exactly.
said since I worked as a long-term substitute that the teachers are underpaid.
Absolutely, I agree
But hands
100%.
down, my own personal opinion from my own experience is that the teachers are underpaid.
Right.
And the way that I look at this from the political science perspective is we approved this year, which it's a need. 3.9 million is a need. It needs to be repaired. And so take that, and then you have just like it says on this flyer next year. Hey, we voted for this $170 impact. Let's get some pay raises for our teachers
Yeah,
and
if you
our police. What I
right,
mean,
all
use that
our
as our argument, or
right,
anyone can use that as our argument. Okay, so we did this. It was $3 a week, basically. It's a cup of coffee
right.
to pay for the bond for the or the community center. So now, let's put a cup of coffee together next year. Let's put it exactly that way for the teachers.
Right. And if you look at the last few years, I don't think last year, but we had a couple years where the budget at the school, I believe, went up like $4 per thousand for like a couple years in a row, which obviously that's a significant impact. And this year, there wasn't that much of an impact. So, but a lot of confusion is too that so you have the school and the school budget, and you have the town, and you have the town budget. It's the same town, but they're completely 100% different. So it's about $12 the tax rate for the town, which is the rec, the highway department, the whole functioning of the town. But out of our $33 tax rate, the rest of that's the school. So the school is considerably more. But here's the thing: people have talked about toll school. Why don't we utilize toll school? And I'm like, well, I can see a point to that. I mean, you're still gonna have to put a bunch of money in it to upgrade it to codes, but the school owns the toll school. The town doesn't, and they're separate entities. Even though it's the same tax money, the same town, it doesn't. It's not. It's not that simple. It doesn't work that way. So that's not an argument that you just can't make that argument. The other thing on this is, eye-opening stats. It says that out of all the people in Claremont with their community center, which has a track and a pool, only 14% of the population uses the community center. But here's the thing also that, PJ had mentioned that when you come to the Newport Rec Center to do stuff, it doesn't, like for kids, it doesn't cost them to come play ball or anything else. You have to be a member of the Claremont Community Center to participate. So some of these kids that it's not an option, they just don't have that money, the parents or whatever don't have the money, aren't able to go to the Claremont Community Center. And that's just the way they structured theirs, and we didn't structure ours that way. So that's something else to keep in mind. And also, I mean, how many of these out of that 86% that's not utilized in Claremont, how many are elderly that don't do other activity? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that number's okay. It looks like it's a significant thing, but at the same time, is it really? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting stat when you look at it that way. I mean,
it's interesting.
it's interesting. I would like to see the Newport participation. Like that would mean a little bit more to me in the
Right.
sense of right now we have this rec center. This is the percent of the population that uses it. It might be hard to track because the thing that I've done is the green up cleanup. So
Right. We did
does
that.
that get registered in the 55 of us that participated in that? Because we're not necessarily using the rec center, but we're.
I don't think so. I mean, it's still part of the rec. If it wasn't for the rec, they wouldn't.
But
Do
you
that
think about
kind of
it.
thing.
So, and if we were to take those stats, so 86% of the population who pay for what they do not use it. So let's say those same numbers apply roughly here in Newport. I would argue that the fact that they hosted the green up cleanup, 55 of us came out and cleaned up for the whole community. I would say that 86% received a benefit from the rec center here in Newport because
Absolutely.
we went out and cleaned
Absolutely.
all the roads up. The 55 of us that volunteered, which we might not necessarily have done if PJ and the rec wouldn't have put that together for us.
Right. If there wasn't,
So there's a benefit to the town. So it's comparing apples and oranges. So, but I'm just taking those numbers, and if they're close to what ours are,
right.
still you get a benefit as a community member from the programs that they put on.
Right.
Case in point, the Green Up Cleanup.
Right. Plus, it's something that we invest in our community that attracts other people that want to move here. You know, some people look here and like, oh man, they got fifth highest taxes and their school numbers aren't great, and why do I want to move there? But then you look at our downtown, you look at our community as a whole, and then you look at, well, hey, they've got this beautiful community center where my kids can go do stuff, or I'm an adult and I want to start a knitting club that goes there and utilizes one of the rooms, like whatever. It's something else that adds to the value of our town overall. So you're investing in the future of the town. So that's what it's about, right? I mean, it's about the
Well, for
community.
me, it's a quite simple math problem. Like that's all good, but 3.9 to repair what we know, and then when they get in there, anything that they find out of code, they have to fix. Once
Right,
they
and
get
I
in and
just
start
can't
working.
fathom the concept of some people that would say, actually, we should do nothing, and we should, and in that case, we would close the rec, from what I understand. Um, so we could just do nothing, and I'm like, okay, we could just
Well,
pass.
something's got to fill the void for what the rec does. So how do
Ex-
we do that if we close it and do
exactly.
nothing?
Like this article, this flyer talks all about investing in our community, right? Or underpaid teachers, or police, for all this. Firefighters should be on there as well. This article, but so at what point? So what point are you going to invest in your community?
Well, what we also got to do is get on to our local senator, Ruth Ward, get onto her for the school part as well, right? So we need to do this, but we also need her to have the state uphold their end of the bargain, like we talked about on a couple different shows
I know,
now.
and if the state actually held up their end of the bargain on school education, this town could have so many things and have a
Right,
considerably
our
lower
tax
taxes.
rate would be reduced, and we
Yeah,
could put it more towards the town. We could have higher paid police officers.
we could have a lot of
We could
things
have
that
higher paid teachers,
right.
and they all deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So these are the two flyers that we got, and we just wanted to mention them. And I mean, obviously, we support the rec. I get it. Like I said a few times now, there's probably some people out there on really fixed incomes that are like, I just can't do it. And okay, I understand. But for the majority of us, I think out there that can, it's $170 if your house is worth 230. You know, if it's worth 200,000, I think it was like $148. Like we're not talking thousands, we're talking low hundred. You know, less than $200. Um,
Yeah, and, every dollar counts.
yep,
Not discrediting that.
correct.
However, if you look at the benefits of it, the return on your investment
Right,
for not just the kids, but for our whole community.
right. So something to think about. I mean, no matter what you do, get out and vote on May 10th. All the articles. One of the other really important articles is Article 9, which is for the police contracts. So I'm sure that I'm going to have a lot of faith in our community that will pass, easily. But get out and vote. Three people running for selectmen, two positions.
So make sure you vote for two.
Yes, vote for two. Don't vote for one. That seemed to happen when we were run for school board. It's like we did the math, and I was like, "There's like 300 votes that people only voted for one," and I'm like, "There's no way 300 people disliked the other three enough to do."
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did, but I just thought that was weird. So you vote for two. So Jeff Kessler is up for reelection, and then you have Jim Burrows and Doug Ring. They're both running to get a seat on there. So vote for two. There's a couple of things on there. There's also a sample ballot on the town's website if you wanted to look at that and really know what the articles were. The town budget itself this year is, if you approve it, it's 2 cents cheaper than it was last year. So kind of keep that in mind with, voting for the rec center. Well, now it's not 74 cents; it's actually 72 cents because the tax rate's already gone down 2 cents, and it's been pretty consistent for the last few years, I believe, on the town end of things.
Yeah, we've kind of we've been fortunate since I've lived here in the last 3.5 years that when we vote for something, it shows a much bigger tax increase than what we actually receive. So
Right.
the personnel running the budgets are working hard to try to minimize the impact and make sure that we get the benefits of living in our community.
Yeah, and another positive note to talk about is, as far as the town goes, and a very positive thing that's happening in town between the town manager, selectmen, and whatnot. We've gotten almost $10 million in grants this last year. Federal grants, whatever the grants. So that's money coming into our community that would go somewhere else if we didn't get it, and so that's great. Like, so they're working hard to do that.
I'm always suspicious of grants because there's always some fine print on there. But yes, it's good to have
I know
in
it.
grant money because then we don't have to pay for it. But you always got to read the fine print.
Yeah, I think that's almost more on the school than the town part. But I
Well,
mean,
the
I'm sure
town
there's
probably has some fine print as well. Maybe it
probably,
doesn't affect us per se, but definitely
but none of those grants would force us to wear masks or anything.
not yet.
Unless, yeah. All right, so that's that topic, and then the other thing is we've talked about it all week, but our 5K on the Sunshine 5K, the town's 5K. It's just we're
Which is
victims
going
of it.
to, but as PJ mentioned,
Yes.
it's to raise money so
Yes.
that at the rec center, the kids who can't afford
It's for
camp,
the scholarship program,
right?
and it benefits the class of 2023. And then we're going to run it in pink tutus. We got another $100 donation last night from Miranda and Victor Stark. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
donating. So now we're at 305, I believe, and we'll see if we can get some other stuff between now and tomorrow too. And like I said, if we can't beat the Chiefs' time of him doing a 10K, we'll match it. If we can beat him, he's going to match it, and it's all going to go to the school for the kids that are, what do they call it? Food insecurity. I guess that's a new lingo for it. But basically, there's kids in our school that don't know when they're going to eat next time, and that to me is not acceptable in our community. Especially, it's just mind blowing. Actually, and I've heard it from several people. It's not just like one person told me, and I heard that and I was like, wow. So let's do this. We'll wear pink tutus and let's give it to that, something that will directly benefit that cause, and hey, that may help with some test scores too. Maybe we can help some of these kids not worry about where they're going to eat, and they can actually focus on school, which is what they should be doing, is being kids. So yeah, come out, support us, support everyone doing the 5K. Supposed to be a really nice day. PJ said it would have oxygen at the end of the run for us because we're probably going to need it.
He'll
well
probably
before
be
that,
at the.
but-
There's going to be a track meet going on as well.
yeah,
so
he'll probably be gone. So maybe the chief can be sitting there in a lawn chair, ready to give us oxygen when we get back.
or some mai tais or pina coladas.
That's true. That might be more incentive to run faster.
Yes, maybe depending on how hot we are going up those hills.
I know, and I still haven't I'm still not sure. Like, where do we run here? Do we?
I like where you're at because now we're going to get lost and cut some distance off because we're going to be like, oh, we thought we turned around here. I like it. I see where you're heading.
Yeah, that's true. But then if we win and we cheated,
Yeah, we'd
it
be
won't feel
horrible
like a
people.
win.
Yes.
And then we're almost defrauding charity. I feel like, even though either way they're gonna get the money, but we can't cheat.
No, never.
No, we won't cheat. We may lose, but we won't cheat.
Never.
So we still have to figure this out, though. We got to figure out. I think we could jog downhill real easy. I mean, motion, my body in motion stays in motion, right? I mean, we might stumble and trip and roll or something, but half of this is uphill and the other half's down, and that's what I'm like.
We have to make up our time on the downhill. Either way,
Yes.
like PJ had said, I don't know if it was on camera or if it was when he and Chief crossed paths when Chief was leaving, but our quads are going to be burning. Either way, even jogging downhill, we're gonna feel it in our legs.
Yeah. And then Sunday, PJ's doing something else crazy. He's going to do 50K around the common. What was it? 4 or 5 laps every hour for 24 hours. He's going to do it. So we told him to pop in and do a lap with him if we can physically walk. If not, we'll have to wheelchair do one or something. But
Take the lawnmower and put one of us in the bucket. One of us can drive.
that's a great idea. I never thought of that. We can do that. So that would be interesting. PJ's always up to a challenge. He's like, if I always want to do this, I'm going to kind of like an awareness thing for the rec center. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Why
Yeah,
not?
definitely. So if you're out there and you see PJ walking around, join him for a lap or two.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. If you are concerned about PJ's mental health and you see him doing circles on the common, it's actually done by design. It's not like he's having a breakdown or anything. He's doing an exercise thing he always wanted to do.
And it's to bring awareness.
It is.
If you go up and talk to him, he'll talk to you about the vision for the new community center.
Right. If he's walking, you're gonna have to walk with him. He's not gonna stop, I don't think, and talk to you. But
Yeah.
it's nice flat around the common. We should have done the 5K around the common.
That would have been nice.
Right.
It would have gotten boring though.
That's true. And we would.
Especially when you look and you know where you're going, it makes the run feel longer, from my perspective, anyway.
Right. Plus, the chief would have passed us a billion times.
we
and
would
would
have
been
lost
so
track.
depressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'm glad we're doing where we are. The other thing, I saw this story, and I think it's really funny. So police seize more than 1,100 pounds of cocaine found in coffee bags at Nespresso factory. That's some high-octane coffee right there.
I have an espresso machine, one of the cheaper models, but that would definitely wake you up, according to the studies I've read about how cocaine affects you.
That could help us with the race.
No, but
No,
it
I'm
would not
kidding.
help us health wise.
No, definitely not. Do not do drugs no matter what.
Yes.
We're just joking around.
Say no to drugs.
But it's very interesting, though. 1,100 pounds of cocaine found in coffee bags at Nespresso factory.
Where was this factory? Over in Italy?
Western Switzerland.
Oh, Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Nespresso is a Switzerland thing? It's not an
I
Italian thing?
Right. You would think it was. Nestle coffee bags, Western Switzerland. That is pretty crazy right there.
Yeah, that would
500 kilograms.
That's crazy.
Estimated market value of 50 million Swiss francs. $1 is equal to 0.98. So almost $50 million worth of cocaine.
It feels like it's 1986 or something.
Right.
Like
Someone's having a really bad day that has that. Someone's going to be really mad. That's a lot of
Yes.
money. Good for them
Good
for catching them.
good for them.
Absolutely.
Busted.
All right. So, as we promised, it's
Farming Friday.
Farming Fridays.
We already started out. We already did a little bit of work this morning. We took
We
a
did.
generator out to the pond.
Yeah, we got out there, started the generator, it ran for a minute, plugged in the pump, kind of started to see air come up out of the pond like it's supposed to, then the generator died, and after several times of pulling it over and starting die. But so we'll have to fix that later and see if we get.
Well, I
results.
appreciate it because now I know before I spend $1,000 on batteries that my pump's working, everything seems to be working.
So
up
let
to
let everybody
dead
know what you got
batteries.
going out there. What's going
So I
on?
got a solar array. I got about a surface. It's about 1 acre surface area, a little bit less, pond. And when we bought the house, the solar charges the batteries. The batteries then run the pumps for about 3 to 4 hours. And 6 months after living here, an alarm started going off, and you got to read these little dots. I called the company, and they're like, "We're gonna have to send out our master solar electrician, and I don't think you want to pay that price." I said, "No, thank you. I'll watch a bunch of YouTube videos." Well, here it is, 2 years later, and my pumps still aren't working, and my solar array is out there gaining electricity and just draining it off. So I think it. And you brought your battery tester out, so we tested the batteries. It says to replace.
They're toast.
They're toast. So I need 4 batteries, looking about $1,000. It's very
Crazy.
expensive.
Crazy how much these batteries are. And it's crazy how much batteries in general are. They used to be like $50 for a battery. Now they're like $150 for a car battery for most of them. It's
It's
nuts.
crazy.
And then they don't last as long as they used to. It's
Well, these
very
come with a
interesting.
3-year warranty, so
Well, that's
as
good,
long
at
as we
least.
as long as I keep it all nice and tight, and then if they die within the next 3 years after I purchase them, get them replaced.
That's good at least. I'm excited though because we're gonna put trout in there.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's the goal. It was very clear out there today, and it looks like we need to do a little maintenance around the edges and cut a little bit. I say we, like I'm roping Tom into helping me with my pond maintenance.
I was gonna fish, not clean the pond.
Hey, I look at you as my local Let's Dig 18. He takes his stuff out there and throws it around the pond. Next thing you know, it's beautiful.
If you don't know, Steve is obsessed with this digging thing on the internet. So he took some videos of me the other day in the garden, and we're gonna put them up on YouTube. And he's like, "I'm telling you, you're gonna get more hits than the show." And I'm like, "No," but I'm sure that'll be the case because that's probably way more interesting listening to us talk.
Yeah, so I got a video of you taking out a rock about the size of a Volkswagen, working hard. Your machinery looked like you might almost it might pull you into the hole with it, but you recovered, got it out, and now I have a beautiful rock garden on the outside of my vegetable garden. So it's nice the amount of rocks, and hopefully through the video the audience will be able to tell exactly how many rocks you pulled up with your machinery.
Yeah, we're talking like rocks
Gigantic.
bigger than this table. I didn't think
And
he was gonna
it
move
was
it.
good to get rid of them because they cost me 2 sets of lawnmower blades, most of those rocks. So it was good because they had like a little shark fin that came out just hidden underneath the grass blades. And so it's good to get rid of those where we expanded the garden.
It's kind of funny because we took some out with a tractor, and I'm like, all right, we can get them out with that. We'll put a chain around them, lift them up, and then we did that one out there, and it like broke the
Broke
cutting
the
edge
blade.
off the thing, and I'm like, oh, I guess that one's a big one. And come to find out, that rock was twice the size of this table, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense why we weren't going to move it with a tractor.
It's crazy. So we got some rock removal, and then we got where you're raking it, kind of leveling it out, going around in circles. It'll be a nice, relaxing video to watch. JJ's chasing you around, getting in your way a little bit.
I know he's going around in circles. I'm like, JJ, what are you doing?
He's having fun with you.
He was.
JJ is our dog. Chocolate Lab, good dog.
Hey, he helped us clean up on the green up
He
there.
did. He did participate in the green up cleanup. So
Plus,
really
he was
56 people, or not people, 55 people, and at least one dog.
Right. And he sat in the back of the truck some of the time with Lydia and kept her busy.
Kept her company.
Well, she has her broken ankle. She gets her cast off today. They get to take the stitches
wow.
out. Yeah, she's gonna have to have another cast for I think 2 or 4 weeks or whatever.
Well, at least
depending
she'll
on
get to itch it.
Yeah, she said I'll get to itch it for like a minute, and I was like, well, maybe they'll let you shave your legs, like razzing her about that, and she's like, I can't wait to see what it looks like,
I'll tell you a crazy story, make fun of myself, and everybody can realize what an idiot I am. I had my first broken bone when I was, 38, 39 years old. I was in the Army, and I was battalion commander, and so I had a cast on my hand. And because I continued to try to do PT in Hawaii, it's kind of drizzly in the morning, almost every morning. It's beautiful, but I still continue to do PT, and so then my cast was getting really nasty. And so I took some Arm & Hammer baking powder and kind of threw it in there a little bit to try to dry it out and absorb some stuff. And then I took a vacuum cleaner and tried to vacuum it out. Anyway, I had to go to the doctor, get the cast removed, and get a new cast on because I had destroyed everything with my bright idea. I believe the commercial's too much for Arm & Hammer baking soda.
Maybe you should watch YouTube last.
So I'm not that smart. I keep telling everybody I'm not that smart. I tried to apply 2 different things together, and it did not work. So do not try to do that.
Don't put baking soda on your cast.
And try to vacuum it out thinking that you're getting it all out of there because you do not. And there was something that you could see it coming up into the canister because I have a clear canister. Anyway, making fun of myself. Yes, Mom, I am that ridiculous.
That's all right. Make fun of yourself. Not making fun of me. It's all good.
So to go along with Farming Fridays, yesterday we had kind of started talking and we kind of talked about Bill Gates, and then our videos weren't uploading, and so we didn't know if that was the case. Well, the AI must have heard us talking because then I got a recommended article from Corey's Digs. You know how I told you that I go to off places to get my news?
Right.
And I found that Corey'sDigs.com, she does a great job of not only, she tries to connect the dots, which you may not see them that way, but what she does is she provides all the backup information. So you don't take her word for it. You can go and delve in just as deeply as she does. And so I say that to say that I'm going to talk about this just for a few minutes because it interests me, because I'm all about trying to sustain as much as I can, and I appreciate you helping me with the garden.
Oh, no problem.
I haven't helped as much with the farm animals, but I'm here and ready to work. So
It's coming.
Yes, I figured it is, but we've been working on the vegetable garden for now. But anyway, to get back to Corey's Digs, and the title of the article is New Controlled Food System is now in place, and they will stop at nothing to accelerate their control. So kind of a dark heading. What I found interesting was that vertical farming right now is the new rage, and it's in 2020 it was worth about 5.5 billion, and by 2026 they expect it to be valued at 19.8 billion. And so what they're doing is they're creating these giant indoor farms where they grow everything up vertically underneath LED lights, and they can produce. There's one outside of Dallas and Arlington, Texas, that can provide food for up to 16.9 million people.
It's interesting.
That's a lot of people to provide from one indoor food source. And so she kind of goes on to say, all right, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, being able to provide that much food, right? So you look at it on the surface, you're like, well, that's awesome. We got technology. We're totally progressing. We're finding new ways. But then she delves into the patents that it takes, because you need your plants to grow differently when you're trying to grow them vertically under LED lights. So now we have patented seeds coming in to play, which about 10% of the seeds, according to hers, if I understood it right now, are under the control of those that have wished to do vertical farming. So what they're doing, not only with patenting it for vertical growing, is then they're gene editing produce. So now, according to their own information, they're going to be able to splice the genes of lettuce, per se, let's just say lettuce, with mRNA technology, just like the COVID vaccines with mRNA technology. So then you get your vaccines by eating a sandwich with some lettuce on it. So you get your mRNA can be upgraded just by eating some produce that you get from the grocery store, who gets it from the vertical farms.
I find it funny because anytime you talk about health and all these things, it's like, we have organic food, right? Which they don't use pesticides and everything. But so we're constantly talking about organic stuff. We constantly see changes in like autism rates are higher than ever. All these different things that weren't before. And it kind of makes you start to question like, well, where does this keep coming from? Well, maybe it's because we keep artificially making stuff that we're not naturally supposed to have in our bodies, naturally supposed to, consume in general. Like you need bees and sunlight to grow crops. Without those, you don't have crops.
Right, and
But
as she points that out in the article, is it's great that we can provide that much food. However, what's the difference between growing with LED that much food? If you're consuming all your food from LED light versus sunlight, what is the difference between sunlight, natural light versus LED light? What are we lacking? So are we getting the full nutritional value from this indoor grown produce that we would if it was outside in the sun, the
right.
way that we used to grow it?
Well, and it's just like same thing. Like for instance, my beef cows or my pigs, when we butcher those, like so you eat that meat, and then you go to the store and eat the same meat there, and it's insane the difference. If you eat farm raised beef, it's more filling. Like I'll notice, like I'll have a cheeseburger, I'm like so full. Where if you have one from a regular grocery store, you buy the hamburger, make the burger, it's not as filling, but it's full of chemicals that they dump into it, and that's another thing that supports your local farmer. Buy your meat local, your vegetables local, because they're not putting all these chemicals and stuff into them.
And it's funny that you mentioned meat, because also in this article she covers lab grown meat. That's another, how we we're talking about
Right.
Bill Gates wanting to improve the amount of beef that you get off of one cattle, so you need less cattle. Well, they're also growing it from cells, so it may not be the Burger King de jour. Remember those commercials about a year and a half ago, the Incredimeat?
Yeah, the Incredible Burger, or whatever.
The Incredible
yeah.
Burger.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not quite that. They take real cattle cells and then grow it.
And I can promise you that Bill Gates will never eat any of this food.
And that's what she kind of implies in this article as well. So your
Just give it
line
to
of thinking is right there. It'll be
Yeah.
those of us that are
the peasants
forced to live in the city centers because they want to. Like, why else would you produce enough for 16.9 million?
Right.
I mean, these indoor vertical farms produce a lot, and I'm barely scratching on the surface. Again, uh, Corey makes a lot of inferences and connects the dots from her perspective. I recommend, even if you disagree and you think, oh, it's good, I don't care about non-GMO versus GMO, I'm fine, I've been eating processed foods and everything else, that's great, but there are some inherent dangers just with gene splicing and trying to put vaccines into food, and this isn't.
Well, our
That's
country.
not a conspiracy theory. So
No,
the other
it's
thing
legit.
is like, if I say, oh, I didn't get it off NBC or ABC, like, well, that's a conspiracy theory. Perhaps, but it's also backed up with lots of data and facts. And so some of how even the title of her article is kind of doom and gloom. However, if you read it, you come away thinking, wow, there's a lot of questions to be asked. And so just like I tell everybody, history kind of repeats itself, or look to the past to study what you're going through today. I did a quick search on the internet, and granted, this isn't like top-notch research, but just a quick, oh my gosh. But a study from 2012 showed that we had the capacity back then to meet any population growth by 2050, 2050, based on what we had 10 years ago. And so now it's almost like they're manufacturing a crisis so the data somehow has changed in the last 10 years. We now produce less food. I don't understand how that's possible.
Well, it's just like the Biden administration, the lady there, I think we were talking about yesterday, how
Samantha Powers.
Don't let a good crisis go to waste, and we're going to use this to push our green energy on farmers and whatever. So, the government's also been caught buying farmers' crop and telling here's the money, destroy the crops. Why would you do that? Like it's crazy.
Especially when we have people who need the food out there.
Yeah, you have all these people out there that need food, don't have food, can't afford food, and then we're destroying crops, paying farmers to do that. We're constantly trying to make farming harder. So what? So we can push our political
I mean, she
agendas.
even goes in. So there's a couple more points I want to make. I'm not trying to interrupt you.
You're good.
The fertilizer issue that they're blaming on Russia, she links that to the 20% reduction internally within our own policies that we're doing. So the railroads are cutting their hauls by 20%, which is usually fertilizer and grain. So now they're not hauling that 20%, which means we need more truckers, theoretically, if they're going to continue to produce that and ship it out, which it's harder to get your CDL. The government's made it harder to get.
Yes, much harder.
Much harder. So I'll put this quote out there, and like I said, you should take people at their word. So when they say something, they usually mean it. Now, unless they say, "Oh, I messed up," kind of like how we've done on this show when we misspeak. So this is the quote: "Who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls the energy can control whole continents. Who controls money can control the world." That's a famous quote by Henry Kissinger, and that's how she starts her article off on CoreyDiggs.com. And so, if you're going to control the food supply, you control the people. I mean that.
So I mean, all right.
So
So
Henry Kissinger just why would he say that? Like, why are we trying to control people?
right. I mean, so let's think
Why are we
about
trying
it.
to control continents? Like I don't understand. Like why can't people just live and be free and enjoy their lives and make the best of it?
I agree.
Why are we all like everybody's always focused on power?
Yeah.
It's disheartening. It's disenfranchising. It's
And it just shows, like, I've said this so many times, and I may be conservative by nature, but I hate all politicians. I hate every single one of them. I mean, maybe not the local ones,
well,
but
hate's a strong word, but
I hate.
I don't appreciate them not doing what is best for our country, our state, our
No,
town.
they go there, they do what's best for themselves. You have some that have been there for 30 years. They make $174,000 a year, but somehow, some miracle, they're worth millions and millions and millions of dollars now. And why is that? Because they sold out our country to fill their own pockets.
Well, a lot of people don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear that's true. You can look up net worth of many of these people and see that their primary job is as a senator or as a congressperson, congressman or woman.
Mhm.
And yeah, they might have family members that have jobs, but
Yeah, look at a lot of those family members that have jobs. Like Hunter Biden is a painter and sells paintings for more than Picasso's, and we should just look the other way. Like that's probably legit. Like I mean, if I start painting, I bet we could make huge money from that. Even though I have no talent, but
you got name recognition here in Newport. I don't think it'll get you up to
Sure.
millions of dollars. You might be able to
buy one of
get
these Tim Beard paintings.
$300 worth over a week's worth of selling, just like you have for our race for our donations.
Trust me, that's just because it's going to charity. Nobody wants to give me
Nobody
$300.
wants your paintings.
Nobody wants my paintings. That's for sure.
Well, I just find the whole thing is just it's disenfranchising.
Yeah, and it's just
You had told a story before about someone not wanting to go out to Ruger's because of their base. Their base wouldn't support it. So
right. Jean Shaheen didn't want to go to Ruger's because it would not be good for her base. And what makes me mad is Jean Shaheen, you represent all of New Hampshire. You represent me. You represent Steve. You represent every single person in this town and in this state, whether we vote Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. You represent every one of us. And you've forgotten that because all you care about are elections and getting there for another 2 years and another 2 years so that you can fill your pockets. And I don't care. I'll say that all day long.
Well, it just goes back to Henry Kissinger's quote. It's all about
Yeah.
control. Like
Right.
he's briefing people about how to control people. Why do we need to be controlled?
Right.
Are we that out of control that we need to be controlled?
No, when most of us just go to work, want to make a living to provide for our families and enjoy our lives, that seems pretty simple. And that just seems like that should be a human right no matter where you live. But, then they tax you, and I know like we're just talking taxes at the school,
yeah.
but if we weren't paying so much in federal taxes for them to give away to every other country out
Yes,
there.
I don't mind local taxes as much because
Right.
we can go and walk and talk and see these people.
Exactly.
And they'll have a conversation. We can agree to disagree, or there might be more people that disagree with us. But
Right.
I don't feel that I'm listened to because I'm not part of the base.
Exactly.
I'm undeclared.
But can you believe this? Can you imagine that if you're running? So first of all, when you're running for Senate or Congress or whatever, you most of these people say whatever to get elected, in my opinion. But then you get in there and you're like, well, my base. So I guess if you're a Democrat, you just represent Democrats, and if you're a Republican, you just represent Republicans. No, that's not how that works. You represent the people. It's we the people. We are the government, and we've forgotten that. We've gotten away from
Well, that's
that.
supposed to be the part where our constitutional republic has some democracy
Right.
intertwined in it. Is, oh well, 7,000 people contacted me saying they wanted this.
Right.
4,000 contacted me saying they don't want this. Why don't you just use that as your weight measure scale? Why has it got to be a
Right.
party thing? Why can't it be a personal decision? What's best for my community?
Exactly.
Do we need $40,000 bathrooms at the top of the Appalachian Trail that I can barely walk to because they need to be ADA compliant? Maybe. Maybe there are a few. However, that's a lot of money to spend in the middle of nowhere. $40,000 for bathrooms.
It's just crazy. It's
Your tax dollars.
we throw away. We don't. Our
At
government.
least it's in America. At least that's coming back to
Well, no. What
our
gets
own
me is
country. Well, yeah, it's sending billions of dollars all over the world.
trillions. So one of those stimulus packages was $13 trillion, and that's the one where all of us got a $1,200 stimulus.
Was it 13 trillion?
It was 13 trillion, and they sent
I'm
it.
gonna have to check that.
You check it
That's
out.
awfully high.
They sent all but like 1 trillion or something of it to that was spent in the United States. All of it went overseas. So one of the toughest times in our country with COVID and everything, people struggling, and we send this money all to the foreign governments and
1.9 trillion.
1.9 trillion. Excuse me, I apologize. But there was a couple of them too, though.
Yeah, I mean, but I that seems awfully high. But
Yeah,
that was
13.
2021. It was 1.9 trillion.
And there was one before that, I think, too, though. But most of it, if you look at how much money stayed here, it was such a small amount. And the rest of it goes to basically what they do is they send it overseas.
2 trillion.
2 trillion before that,
So we're looking at 3 point something trillion.
almost 4 trillion in those two. I almost thought there might have been even another one because
I'm checking 2022.
there was like a 600 twice or something. I didn't get any of those, but the point is, why are we sending all this money overseas? It's because politicians funnel their money back that way through,
Allegedly.
allegedly. Sure, we can't prove it, but we all can see the writing on the wall.
Well, I mean, there's just a lot of dots to connect, and at the end of the day, my whole thing is, if it's why do we need to gene splice lettuce to put mRNA in there? If I don't want mRNA, why are you trying to give it to me through my lettuce? Is it going to be labeled as such? Like, this lettuce has this mRNA splice thing. Or are they going to say, Steve, we noticed that you haven't been walking that much lately, so you need 4 packs of lettuce to reduce your whatever. Like, I mean, that's lazy. And it's scary. Like, why are you going to, how?
And it sounds all crazy, but if you really just go out and do your own research and look into it, it's
It's
happening.
out there.
Like,
that,
it's a legit thing.
briefed in Congress. It's
Right.
business leaders are briefing it about it's in their quarterly briefings that they have. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff she has. And and I mentioned to you before, when you start delving into this, you see a lot of stuff goes back to Vanguard and BlackRock. Now people are going to definitely label me a conspiracy theorist, but they control a lot of everything in this country for the most part.
Well,
They got a stake in it. I won't say they control it. They got a stake in a lot of our aspects of our lives, and they're making decisions that affect us. Whereas we're fortunate enough to where you have land right now where you can raise your own cattle.
Right.
I have land where I can grow my own garden and produce as much as I can while the weather is nice.
Right.
But what if we can't?
Exactly.
Because if they control the food supply, they control the people. It's Henry Kissinger's famous quote.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy. And so that's just the linking to Farming Friday. One of the reasons why I'm motivated to expand the garden this year is to be able to share, because the price of groceries are going up because of inflation and whatever other excuse they're going to provide us. It's just a scary world out there, and I recommend everybody do their own research. You're going to probably disagree with us on a lot of things. I'm just telling you, when I read, this is what I see, and I don't necessarily connect the dots the same way or as doom and gloom as Corey's digs. But what I
Right.
like about her research is she provides you with where to go to look, so you can make your own opinion as well.
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing with the show is, don't take our word for it. We don't want you to take our word for it. Go out and look into this stuff yourself, and you may discover things that you're like, "Well, wow," because it's constantly this. Especially like the last 2 years, you hear everything where this is false information. This is false information. It's like,
And
huh?
then 2 years later, it comes out as being true.
Right.
Which that's what I noticed back in the 80s. It might not have taken 2 years, but it was like I said, they'd have the correction for Tuesday night's episode, like at the beginning or end,
Right.
like 8 days later, and
Or the
they don't expound on it. It's kind of like if you accuse somebody of something and you don't, or someone accuses someone else of something to like, hey, Steve did this, and you come at me and you immediately say, hey, why'd you do this? Blah, blah, blah. You don't even ask me. Like that's my issue is like before you jump to conclusions, try to read it all because you can probably go out there and find and she acknowledges that vertical farming is not necessarily a bad thing. It's awesome to be able to provide more food. However, I go back and I just did a quick search in 2012. There's articles about how it's an inequality. It's not that we can't produce enough food. It's because we're destroying crops. It's because simple stuff like that, just destroying them instead of producing it and sending that instead of money.
No, it's just policies that the government makes that creates an issue, and then they try to sell it as, oh, we have the fix. Vertical gardening, that's the fix.
Going
you
back to
caused the
Samantha
issue.
Power's statement that
Exactly.
never let a crisis go to waste.
Exactly.
Something I'm paraphrasing probably there, but that's basically what she
That's
said.
what she said. Yeah, it was right in the article, and it was a quote, and she was getting interviewed by George Stephanopoulos, so it was ABC, which, I don't take much of what they say, any of the mainstream media. I don't listen to anything they say, but
Well, no, you listen to the words that they say.
listen to the
Like,
words.
they're gonna.
And it literally come out of that woman's mouth. It wasn't like they're paraphrasing or they're doing, no, like legit, this person said this. And there's a lot of things that have been said lately, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
I don't understand if people aren't listening or if I don't know. It's confusing to me, but it's concerning with the gene splicing, the gene editing, the amount of money being put into vertical farming, and we have so many farmers out there working hard,
right.
doing the right thing, providing for us right now, and we're going to put it under the hands of a few corporations running these gigantic indoor farms. It's just, I don't know. I like to see it spread out.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the other thing, support your local farmers. You can get any of these products from these local farmers. You can get your meat. You can get there's cheese. There's
here
milk,
in Newport. We have Beaver Pond. We have Sanctuary.
Yeah, that's in Sunapee, but
That's
close
Sunapee,
enough.
it's close enough.
Really
but I
close.
mean, it's
Yes.
local area. We
It's a
always
local
say
area. Yes.
Sunapee, Newport, Claremont. You
Exactly.
corrected me on that yesterday.
Yeah. So there's a lot of farms. There's a lot of local stands.
And I'm leaving a few out, and I apologize.
Yeah, that's not all of them. Like, look, there's tons of them. The farmers market will be starting. I believe it was the end of June. Last I checked the other day. That runs every Friday through the summer.
In the common.
On the common.
On the common.
That's another thing. Go support them. Their food isn't genetically mutated or it's not treated with bad pesticides.
Nikki drives around town and gets eggs from just about everywhere. Like we've tried anybody that sells eggs that we see the sign for, we'll stop and buy some.
And so if for eggs, here's a perfect example. Now if you go buy an egg, you stop at your local farm, whatever, you pick up an egg, you bring it home, you're gonna crack it, and you're gonna open it and the yolk's gonna be almost orange. And don't panic, don't worry, like, oh, there's something wrong, because that's what an egg's supposed to look like. If you crack an egg from the grocery store, it's like a paler yellow color. Well, it's because that egg sat around for a lot longer than the egg that you just got. Because eggs will actually last, before you put them in the fridge, I think it was like 60 days, they're good.
Yeah, over in Europe, they don't put them in the fridge.
Right.
I've heard, allegedly.
You don't have to.
We don't either. If we buy them from a farm, we leave them out.
You don't have to put them. You don't have to put them in the refrigerator. But once you do refrigerate them, you have to refrigerate them after that. You can't, keep it cool then let it be warm. But just right there is a perfect example.
Yeah, Nikki made a white cake. She didn't use egg whites because it would have required her to use 4 eggs. So she used 3 whole eggs, and it came out orange because we used fresh eggs from. I think she picked them up at Beaver Pond.
Yeah, and they got like over there. They've got.
But it was an orange cake instead of a white cake.
Right. It's But that's the difference between the egg, and it's like it's crazy the difference. Like that's a huge difference,
Huge
and
difference, and it's
um,
usually cheaper too if you buy it from the local
yeah, oh,
guys and gals that
absolutely.
sell them at the end of their driveway or at
That's the other thing that's
Beaver
so
Pond.
frustrating is if you go to the grocery store, I don't know what's a gallon of milk, like $5, probably a little over $5 now. The
It's
farmer doesn't
expensive.
even. The farmer probably is getting the same money he was getting for the last 20 years. It's crazy because when those prices go up, you think, okay, the farmer's getting more money. It's costing him more money. No, the farmer doesn't get any more money. The corporation in the middle, the middleman, they're the ones that get more money out of it. And so if you can buy your stuff local, do it the best you can. Go to your local farms,
Local hardware stores,
everything.
local
Exactly.
everything.
Support everything local because these local businesses support our community and provide for us in so many ways you don't even know.
I know. John Paul, my buddy John Paul, had mentioned that we should go out and highlight random stores because
We
he's
should.
he's been up here 4 or 5 times since I've lived here, and so he feels like he knows the town well enough. And he said there's so many awesome places y'all have up there that maybe some people don't know because he goes and tries to find off beaten path types of things. And
Right.
when he comes, that's what we do. We drive around and just look for random places of interest, whether it's a small shop or a brewery somewhere because he does enjoy
It's crazy. Those have come up everywhere. There's so
everywhere.
many
We
of them
have so
now.
many around us as well. We hadn't even mentioned those.
It's crazy how many, and that's another local business. There's so many little local businesses around here and you have to support them because if you don't, they disappear and it's hard enough to stay in business
Yeah, we're not
nowadays.
saying don't go to Shaw's or
No, you have to. You
yeah.
can't.
There's so many different things, but
Yes.
you can go get fresh eggs.
Right.
And especially if I mean, we just trust everybody because if they're growing those chickens, they're taking care of them. Like,
Exactly. And absolutely. Even me and you, we can't just say, "All right, we're only going to eat the stuff we grow, the animals we raise." Like if we did that, we'd have no time to do anything, period.
anything.
And people are busy. I get it. You go to Shaw's, you go wherever you get your food. But when you can, you're driving by a farm stand, like stop in and like they got vegetables that are always way cheaper than the store, the grocery store. If they got eggs, there's so many people are selling eggs now. We're actually gonna get some chickens again. We had chickens 2 years ago, and I said I was never going to do it again because it's so much work to like. You got to kill them, you got to defeather them, you got it. Like there's a lot to it. It's a lot. But then I was like, with all the stuff going on in the world, I'm like, you know what? Let's just get some chickens again. I'll suck it up and just, we got the little thing that it's like a tub that spins. It takes the feathers off. It actually worked really well. We just were kind of learning. So you're supposed to put the chicken in there at like 150 degrees. Well, we just had a big burner, so the water was like too hot. So we kind of messed up some stuff. Now that I've learned, we can actually do this the way we're supposed to. But it's insane the difference if you grow like you have your own food like that versus if you go to the store and they pump all these chemicals into these animals that you remember that goes in your body. So if you're a woman that's pregnant, you're not supposed to smoke, you're not supposed to drink, you're not supposed to do any of these things that aren't good because it's not good for the baby. Well, it's the same thing that if you're, especially when you're pregnant, this is usually when you notice it the most, right? The doctor will say don't have any like fish or whatever
I mean,
because
there's certain medicines you can't take.
yes, there's a lot of things, but remember, no matter what it is, anything you put in your body, if it's a plant, if it was exposed to chemicals, the chemicals are now in your body. If it's an animal that was exposed to antibiotics and all this stuff, you just ate that. That's in your body now. So you
Yeah, because
want to
even if you look at, because like I told you before, I try to do mostly organic, neem
right,
oil, soaps, that kind of stuff, water to wash things off. It'll say on the bottle, don't consume within so many days of spraying it.
right,
And
right,
like if I'm doing it, at least I know that if I were, and like I said, I don't use those chemicals, but when you read the package, it tells you don't consume after you use this because your body can absorb it. So,
right.
we're not giving necessarily medical advice because
No,
we're not doctors.
no,
But what we're saying is common sense for us. The way that we see it is, if you put it into whatever it is that you're going to eat, you're going to get some residue from it.
right.
It just makes sense. Now, I'm sure there'll be someone who comes on and says that antibiotics aren't necessarily bad, but I would assume that there's enough people out there that think that they are because that's why we have non-GMO. That's why we have free-range chickens. That's why we have eggs that cost a little bit more, but they don't have antibiotics given to the chickens. And
The other thing,
I'll tell you this much: if you've ever just the taste of fresh meat from a farmer versus, because I know you're saying it's more filling, but just the taste of it, texture of it. Everything it's different.
Right. The Hamburg isn't bright pink, I guess you would say, red pink, like you see in the store. Our Hamburg it's more of a browner color because it's not been bleached and all this stuff for appearance. And so you look at that and you would think, wow, there's something wrong with that Hamburg.
But don't get me
No,
wrong, I buy hamburger from Shaw's all the
I do
time.
too. Don't get me wrong.
Hannaford.
I eat food from the store,
Right.
but when I can, we'll eat stuff from our animals because it's just that much better for you. Yeah, and we're not saying
Yeah.
you can't just go out and completely
Yeah.
do this.
'Cause, I mean, it can add the expenses can add up as well too.
Absolutely, but honestly, I'm really wondering, like right now, the way the world is, it may be cheaper to go to your local farm to buy beef. Like
It might be.
it really may be. We should actually find out about that because I know Kevin and Michelle Willard, they do a lot of stuff with their own animals, and they're always pushing this local stuff that we talk about for farming and food sharing and kind of thing. And I would dare take a good bet that I bet the local stuff you get at a local farm would be cheaper or really, really close because the cost of everything is shot through the roof.
I can't believe how much a skirt steak costs at the grocery store. Well,
Yeah.
I was always taught that was like the kind of like a garbage meat because that's what we made fajitas out of.
Right.
And I love fajitas.
Right, right.
And then I go and try to buy a skirt steak, and it's like $24 for a pound and a half, maybe 2 pounds. That's $12 a pound. 13 for skirt steak is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, when we were selling at the market, we were selling steak tips for I think it was $15.99 a pound, which was still like at that time it was still like $2 cheaper than Shaw's. And then last I seen, I think it's like $22 a pound. Like
That's crazy.
it's crazy.
It's expensive out
Crazy.
there.
Andrea got something the other day. It was I can't remember. It was frozen, some vegetable. I think it was frozen that she uses for something she made. And she's like, yeah, usually that bag is like $7, $8, and it was $15.
It's crazy.
Double the cost. And I'm like, that's nuts.
And there's the also try to grow some of your own food this summer to help.
Yeah, I mean tomatoes, and to me, I don't particularly care for tomatoes. Like I like ketchup, I like tomato sauce, stuff like that. But I'm not a big just like eat a tomato on a sandwich and stuff. But I've gotten better, and I do like the the tomatoes you raise. Like those are, I don't know, they're fresher or something. I do occasionally.
I
eat
feel like
more
they
of them.
taste differently.
Yeah, it's so much more. But you can, even if you have an apartment, a lot of people have apartments. You can raise tomatoes. I mean, you
Yeah,
just need a little
can
pot.
container.
You put them in so they grow up, and you can easily do that. And if you can put them out on your porch, so you got to get some sunlight, and you have to get the bees to pollinate them. But tomatoes are something really easy to grow. Cherry tomatoes, regular tomatoes.
Cherry tomatoes grow out of control crazy.
Yes.
I had so many last year; it was hard to keep up with them.
So I mean, that's something you could do right near your house if you like tomatoes, and
Yeah.
and think about it.
I made sauce out of mostly cherry tomatoes. I have a batch or two of sauce that I can.
And I would say that was really, really. So I'm more of a thicker kind of sauce person, and your stuff was really like light in color. It almost looked like a was it like a vodka sauce? That lighter colored.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not sure how it's going to taste, and it was delicious.
Oh, thank you.
It was delicious. It's crazy how many tomatoes it takes to make sauce. Though,
It
Dustin.
does. It takes a lot to make sauce.
It was crazy, but and that's another thing. Like you're looking to save money. Like if you buy a package of tomatoes every week, that's a couple bucks easy. You grow your own. What do you got? The cost of the seed and a few things, and once you got the pot, you have it forever unless you break it.
Yeah, if you can grow your own cucumbers. They got bush style, so it doesn't even vine. Because I'm going to try some of those out, and it's still supposed to be pickling cucumbers. So
Peppers, you can grow those. Those are straight up. A lot of those things you can actually you can grow, and like potatoes too. I've seen a lot of them. They can grow them like
in the bags.
Yeah, in bags or like an entire little setup.
Yeah.
And you can they're like, you get 100 pounds of potatoes out of this. I was like, wow, that was like, and just, talking a small area to do it. So it can be done if you want to try to get a little more organic, eat a little healthier as far as that stuff goes.
And cut down on your costs at the grocery store a little
right.
bit.
Which, absolutely right now, I understand it's ridiculous. Diesel jumped like $1 overnight, and
that's going to not only affect the cost of gas for you, but it's going to cost the cost of everything.
Yeah,
Everything goes up when that goes up.
people don't realize that. Like, so Jessica from Twin State Paving, and once again, thank you for being our sponsor. She had mentioned there on Facebook one night, like diesel went up $1 a gallon overnight, $1.
That's
So
crazy.
they put that in their big trucks, and most of their big trucks probably are 100, 200 gallon tanks. So that's an extra 100 or $200 to fill that truck up overnight. So what do you think happens? Well, now the cost of the driveway is going to have to go up because it's the cost of doing business, but not just the driveway, but your groceries being brought to the grocery store, it's going to cost you more money. Your fuel being delivered, it's going to everything
Everything.
is related to fuel prices. And for a little bit, it was kind of it stabilized, and then it went down a little bit, and then mysteriously, it's just kind of gone up. And there's no reason for diesel to jump like that. So when I was a kid, diesel was cheaper than gas because diesel is less refined. They actually used to have like a little tax. So if you had a diesel car, because most of the time diesel's got better fuel mileage too, like a Volkswagen
Right.
diesel and stuff. There was like a little tax thing, but diesel is always cheaper. And then mysteriously, because diesel's more used obviously in big rigs and whatever, it's more expensive. And now it's like $2 more expensive than regular gas. And like I said, it's less refined, so it's a scam. They're just putting it to you.
Well, whatever it is, scam or I'm sure
Greed, whatever.
they'll have a reason for it, but
Right.
don't rely on them. That's why we're saying if
No.
you can get you some grow bags, grow your own potatoes, save yourself $5 or $10 on potatoes. Even if you only have two grow bags, that's probably $10, $12 worth of potatoes that you can grow yourself on a $3 for a seed bag of potatoes.
Or even if you have a bad bag of potatoes that are going bad, we've all seen the little sprouts growing out. That's how potatoes are growing. You cut it in half, you stick it in the soil, and it grows.
Yeah,
It's
we have some that Nikki was like, "What do you want me to do with these?" I was like, "Throw them over there. I'll try to grow them."
Yeah, that's how it
Same. We have
works.
some onions that started sprouting up. She was going to throw those away. I was like, "No, I'll try to grow them." It might not grow if they're not organic, because sometimes. And it was weird too. We were talking about this on my YouTube feed while I was waiting for our video to upload last night. The 3 times that I tried to do it, it had mentioned there was a YouTube feed about you can't keep your seeds and grow them because there's patents on them, which was interesting because I had just read Corey's digs about how they're patenting everything. So I don't necessarily believe it, right? Like
Well, there's some seeds
the seed cop's going to come after me. Like, no, I haven't done that. I buy my
no, but what
seeds.
happens with some of them is some of the seeds that you buy and you grow the plant, the seed that's in all vegetables, because that's how they cycle of
Propagate,
life.
right?
Yeah, exactly. They won't grow. So they've been genetically mutated or modified or
Modified.
whatever, so that you can't take those pumpkin seeds and grow a pumpkin. It won't grow. So that's how they also do that. That's why I always make sure like we get seeds. You want to get the seeds that,
Heirloom.
you take the pumpkin seeds out and you dry them. You keep them some more dry, and you can grow them. Like
This video was saying that that's illegal.
no
I
pound sand. That's
I
what I
know.
would say to
That's
that.
why I kind of chuckled. I was like, "What's this? You gonna tell me I can't read email? I can't read anything on the internet because it'd be illegal to read it. It's
Like
just like the
like
logic there
WikiLeaks.
is. Yeah, I didn't say it, but yes,
I'll say it.
the news tried to tell you that if you looked at it, you'd go to jail.
I'm the
Something along those lines, allegedly.
I was talking there at the green up cleanup when we were back having pizza, and I said something. I don't remember what it was now, but Andrew's kind of like, "Don't say that." I'm like, "Listen," I said it right out loud to everyone. I'm like, "I'm the guy that will say what you're thinking, but you won't say because I just don't care." Like within reason, of course. But
Right.
a lot of people think these things, but they're like, "I don't want to say it. I don't want to sound crazy. I don't. I'll say it. I don't care." So I'm the non-rational one on the show, and you're more the rational think about things. I'm more the just gonna act and we'll go from there kind of thing. So
Yeah. So you react. You don't act. You react, and
right,
whatever comes off your head, you'll say. Whereas I try to be more measured.
right. So realistically, if we ever get sued, it'll just be my half getting sued.
No, you just always got to say everything we're saying is allegedly, and do your own research.
True.
Check it out. Like it's so when you start reading things and you start using your own discernment, you'd be surprised that you're like, oh my gosh, and it's not one party or the other. It's everything that's
No,
out there
it's
is like, oh my gosh, like where.
we found out over the winter. Like, um, I won't get into the story really, but we found out in a local government why everything is connected, like everything that seriously, it's one big cesspool. The same people with a different letter next to their name. It's an RD, occasionally an independent, but they're all the same. They're all the same family members that seem to run. They're all the same. Like they're all connected, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like, and then when new people try to get into the system, Don Bulldog, General Bulldog, he's running for against Shaheen, and he got like ousted by the Republican Party last year or 2 years ago. I just find it all interesting because, well, he's an outsider, and they don't want outsiders. It's not a boys group. It's a big group of people that they're all connected. You look at it, they
It's disheartening
it is.
that, and it goes back to a conversation we kind of had where I don't know if we did it on air or not, but you have, well, yeah, we did, the elites and the ignorant masses.
Yeah,
If you're not part of their club,
exactly.
if you don't have the right credentials or genetic, whatever, like family name, not genetics, but family
Right.
name,
Yeah.
credentials, then you're not really capable of doing it, which
In their eyes, yes.
in their eyes, and I'm a firm believer that with free speech, you let people talk enough, you'll be able to figure out exactly what and who they are and what they stand for, and that's why free speech is so important. Is because if I, like you were saying a while ago, if I'm measured and how Andrew was like, hey, like then people know you at least, and then you're more genuine.
Right. I'm a real person, and that's why I like when I talk, like sit down and talk to people. I go to the superintendent, I go talk to Shannon Martin, who's principal at the school, and like whoever we talk to. Like, I want the real person. Like, don't treat me like one of your students, because I know, like for me, it's hard for me because like I swear quite a bit. That's kind of just in my vocabulary, so I'm always really careful on the show because we don't want to swear because we want everyone to be able to listen and watch. And but I want like be real with me. Like I've sat down with the town manager, sat down with the police chief, like privately, and like I just want you to be real with me. Don't give me the PR thing. Don't give me the I'm this. No, just be real with me because I actually believe you
And
when
Chief
you're real.
doesn't act like that. He doesn't come
No,
across
I
like
like
that.
the Chief's very very real. I had a great conversation with him. I like that about people. I want you to be real with me. Don't give me some PR crap. Don't give me this. I don't
Hey,
want it.
bad news doesn't get better with time. Like we said the
Yeah,
other day, just if there's something that we need to fix, let's fix it. Let's
exactly.
put it out. Let's put it on the focus of the day or whatever, and set a goal to correct it.
And it's tough because, like, especially like with the school, it's almost like a lot of the issues with the school is related to a state or federal law. And I'm like, well, why don't you guys throw them under the bus? Sit at a meeting and say, you know why we can't do this? Because this law that they passed, great. Now we'll go down to Concord or whatever and we can protest this law and we can be like, this is ridiculous. You need to fix it. Like, why? Why are we playing this? It's almost like playing politics, right? We got to be careful. No, I'm not going to be careful. I'm going to tell you how it is. You don't like it? Cool. Turn off the channel. Or you like what I got to say? Awesome. But even if you don't like what I got to say, question it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Think for yourself. Well, why does he think that way? Look into things. Look
Well,
into the
yeah.
seed
Don't just
stuff.
get angry at you. I think
No,
that's the point. And I just want to
exactly.
highlight anything I say is my own personal opinion.
Right. Not.
It's not
It's
connected to anything else. It's my own personal opinion because
it's Tim and Steve's opinions, not me, a business owner, or you, a school board member. No, this is our opinions as citizens and residents of Newport, of New Hampshire, of the United States, and these are our opinions and solar opinions.
yeah, that's my big thing. It's like, don't get angry at me. Like, yeah, it might anger you, but like at the end of the day, we need to have a conversation. We need to be
Right.
able to talk. You shouldn't be afraid to say exactly what it is that you think, nor should I. And within bounds, obviously, because you don't want to. But I just feel like, even with us talking about this, there's going to be some people like, crazy. But
Right.
there's the evidence is there. Like, these are their own words. These are their own business profit reports and their own specs for their businesses, and it's out there. And yeah, it may not be nefarious, but there are parts to it that are concerning to me as a citizen who believes that the individual rights are what's most important, because
Right.
that's what America was founded on: is individual rights. We're all created equal.
And it's funny because, especially like the last 2 years, 2.5 years, whatever, oh, you're conspiracy theorists. Oh, well, when all those conspiracy theories come true, I'm not a conspiracy theorist anymore, am I?
And see, that's the other thing that bothers me is, so, for instance, you had mentioned Hunter Biden with his artwork. But with that laptop that was sold to us as Russian disinformation, and we watched a clip with Rand Paul asking some tough questions.
With the Homeland Security guy. Yep.
Was it Mayorkas?
Yep.
And he was like, just tell me, like, what are you going to do? Like, just be honest. Tell me exactly what it is that we're looking for. How would you react? Because for 2 years, and Rand Paul, to his credit, said, I'm not saying they can't say that.
Right.
He's like, what I'm saying is your new charter is to prevent outside foreign disinformation, knowing that CNN, and that's who Rand Paul used as his example, and he didn't give him an answer. He
No, they
floated
never
around
answer.
it.
Never.
But the point is answer the question.
Right. Well,
Just
just
be
like
honest. Like when you don't answer the question, you don't create trust with me.
right.
And he might be doing the right thing, and maybe it is needed, but my perception is if you can't answer the question directly in this scenario that you have provided me to where now we have proven that this is a real data dump from this hard drive that really existed, that has incriminating evidence on it, and we had 50 people come out and say that it's classic Russian disinformation and everything else, that it was not real, but now we know that it is real according to the mainstream media.
Oh, and just for the record, the whole contents of that are now part of on record in one of the congressional hearings by I can't remember which one. I don't think it was Tom Cotton, but one of those guys put into the record said, "I want to put this hard drive into the record." So technically, it's into the record, and we'll see if anything actually happens with it. But because I
There's a
know
website out there put together by Garrett Ziegler, who was on Trump's staff at some point, but it's called MarcoPolo.com maybe, or it might be MarcoPoloUSA.com. I apologize if I have it wrong. But anyway, he's chronicling everything on that laptop.
yeah,
And for you to go out there and read and see for yourself, it's a verified copy, allegedly, that he has, that you can go out there and look for yourself. Don't trust me. Again, the point being, though, is that they're not, they don't, I don't feel that I can trust them whenever they're up there and they're double speaking or they're avoiding the question. If they have to avoid the question because of a security thing, then say, for security purposes, I need to go tell you that in the back room. I can't tell you that right here in this hearing. That's not what they say. What they say is they do what politicians do,
right.
and they change the subject and they start talking about something totally different and trying to rephrase the content of what you're talking about. And I don't trust you now. Like, it's very clear to me, if you're not going to answer straightforward, why should I trust you?
So here's a perfect example. So we won't get into this topic, but I just want to make the point. So during COVID, the quote unquote blue states are the strictest with all their COVID policies, masking, and all this crap. And so then you ask, a liberal or a Democrat or whatever, and so they're like, well, no, women have a right, your body, your choice, right? So then this whole abortion thing comes up, and it's like, oh, it's my body, my choice, and it's like, okay, but it wasn't 2 years ago when it was masking or vaccine mandates for doctors and all this. What happened to my body, my choice? Oh, well, because that could kill somebody. Oh, but abortion doesn't do that. And like I said, we're not going to get into the abortion topic because this is not something we're going to talk about. But the double standard is what I do want to talk about, because I'm sick of double standards from everybody. Depending who you are, depends what the standard is. It's supposed to be equal protection under the law, equal rights under the law. Everything is supposed to be equal in this
Justice
country.
is supposed to be
Justice
blind.
is blind justice. There's no blind justice in this country anymore. It's crazy. You got judges that try to be politicians now. You want to be a politician? Great. Go be a politician, because I've talked to officers even in this town. It's like, what's the issue? I mean, you had a lady not long ago, a couple years ago, who robbed a 90-year-old lady out at Market Basket in Claremont, who was out on $500 bail, who went back, she got arrested for it, went back to the same judge, and once again was released for $500 because she was like, well, I was scared for my life because I owed my drug dealer money. That sounds like a you problem. You should be in jail. So you ask these police officers, well, what's up with this? Why is this happening? Because people want to blame the police, right? Well, the cop's doing his job. Well, the cop does his job, and then the judge lets the person go. So it's not the cop that's not doing the job; it's the judge. And
it's crazy. I did not know that.
Well, did you see in the news? Dave Chappelle was attacked out in L.A.
I saw that.
Some
tackled
punk rapper guy.
He
whatever.
almost didn't get tackled. He almost slipped out of it.
He literally had a knife that was shaped like a gun, and one of the DA out in LA County is refusing to prosecute him for a felony, which he had a knife, so he could have killed him. Like, if you have a knife and you attack someone, I know me and you are going to get charged with attempted murder or
least,
something that will
probably.
definitely be a felony. And this DA refuses to prosecute. Once
I
again,
did not hear that. That's crazy.
yes, and I'm telling you, this. You look everywhere; it's all over the internet. It's not just
It
like
goes
a
back to holding people to account. Be
exactly
responsible for your actions.
right.
If you wanted to make a statement about whatever it is you don't like about Dave Chappelle, then you need to be able to face the consequences. Why are we making excuses for people?
You're a rapper. Make a rap freaking song about how you hate Dave Chappelle. I don't care. But when you attack someone,
Yeah.
when you do that, so now you're taking away his right to live, his right to free speech or whatever. Like, and then you're not
Mostly
going
his
to be
right to free speech because they
right.
don't like what he says.
Exactly. But you're not going to be prosecuted.
Which I have issue with that too. I don't even I'll get into that.
Yeah.
But like it was.
This
I
cancel
watched
culture.
Rogan cover it, and Rogan saw it the exact same way that I saw it, which was he told a story about his friend, and it's taken the wrong way. That's my perception of it. And
Right.
we all have different perceptions.
Right.
But my perception was that was not a hateful story that he was telling, but it was more of a, this is crazy, this crazy world we live in.
Right. And it gets crazier by the day. That's the thing. Like, if I was to have done the same thing this guy was to do, I would be looking at 20 years in jail.
You would
probably.
expect it. Well,
Right.
Maybe it wouldn't happen, but that's what you would
Oh,
expect.
Yeah. You would
Right.
think, when not lawyers, but when attorneys that are prosecutors don't prosecute, they should be tried criminally because they're not doing their job. Their job is to, and I know there's discretion, of course.
Yeah, there's always
They always have discretion. You got to weigh every case.
Each case is different.
Right.
Right.
But when you have something as public as that on video, this dude, attacks.
His intent was to make a statement, if not to harm him. I mean, he went and
you had a knife.
took him to the ground.
Right. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to just come up there and punch you in the mouth. And no, he had a knife shaped like a gun, ironically.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So the double standard is
So at the end of the day, all that my take on it is that we can do is try to be better ourselves, try to be open and honest with our communication, and
absolutely
treat people with
dignity and respect. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's all any of us want.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's what I found anyway throughout my career.
And you kind of come back to like, okay, like we can't fix the government on a huge, the national stage. Like that's a hard fix, right? That's a slow fix. State level, you could do a little better, especially a small state like New Hampshire. You have more options, but locally, you have all the control locally, and you still have all the control locally, and that hopefully will never go away. And as long as we're doing our diligence and making sure that we don't give away our rights and everything, that we have a lot of input, just like May 10th on Tuesday.
Yeah, don't be
Go vote.
apathetic.
Exactly. Like I would like to see record turnout voting. Like I don't care.
Let's find out. Like maybe
Yes.
we're in the minority with
Right.
our support for community center.
hey,
If that's the case,
exactly. You go out, you vote. We get a record turnout vote.
I'm not gonna be mad at you if it doesn't
No.
pass and you voted against it. I'm gonna be like,
No.
well, we disagree on that.
Right. I may be disappointed it doesn't get approved, but I just want you to vote. Vote for the selectmen that are running. Vote for all the articles that are on there. Vote for what is best in your eyes, at least, for the community. But go vote because that's the whole thing. If you don't vote, my eyes is like, hey, well, I don't vote. I don't want to hear your opinion then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not even contributing. So go vote. I think you can still, I'm not 100% sure, but I've always been able to sign up the day of if need be,
Right.
register. You do need bring your ID.
Yeah, by now you probably have to do it there in person.
Yes, you'd have to do it there person. So you're going to need your state ID, your federal ID, whatever you have will work. And then you need proof of residency. So like a light bill or something that just says, hey, I live here. And you can register that day. You can vote on the articles. They're all right there, clear as day. It's going to be from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the high school gym on Tuesday. Get out, vote. Enjoy this beautiful weekend we got coming.
Beautiful weather.
We'll be
5K.
we'll be back on Monday, provided we survive the 5K here. But yeah, get involved with your community. That's the biggest thing, and
And be open to other ideas and ask questions and and look up the answers, and don't just see what Wikipedia says. Go beyond, find other sources, and if somebody is stating something as a matter of fact, make sure that they actually say where they got that fact from,
Right.
and
And if
it's not
we,
just their opinion. Because
you know,
a lot of things that we're talking about today are opinions.
right, right,
Now,
right,
when I try to read, I give credit to Corey, like today on our
right.
website, and
Hey, and if we're wrong about something, that's fine. Message us and be like, hey, that number wasn't right or whatever. And I'll be the first one to, accept that I was wrong on something. Like,
we'll
oh,
start
yep,
the next show off with
yeah,
corrections.
exactly, because that's what we want to do here. We don't. This isn't a misinformation push of anything. We just want factual information, and obviously when we have opinions, we have opinions. But
And have open discussions without getting mad at each other, because you and
right,
I disagree on some things,
yeah,
and we're still hanging out and
still doing the show every day.
farming and gardening and doing the show.
Think about it, this is our sixth
Six
show,
show.
so we've done a whole week worth of shows now. I don't know. It started out as a crazy idea, and here we are, 6 shows in.
Yeah, you don't sit around on anything too long. You
No.
have an idea and you execute.
Right.
Whereas I like to sit around and think about it, research for a few months, maybe a year. You go and you execute.
I get it done.
Well, that's why you succeeded as a business owner.
Yeah, I try.
But you know what I mean? You're not afraid to face failure.
You have to, and that's the thing. I remember my massage therapist lady. She was a really good friend of mine, and she worked for this place, and she finally pushed herself enough, and I pushed on her, and other people I didn't push on, go start your own business. I don't know if I can do it. Go start your own business. What do you have to lose? So you go out, you start your own business, and it fails. Okay, there's a million places out there looking for work, and you could easily go back to another place. If you leave under good terms, you can go back to that same place. Take a chance. You have to take a chance.
So you're saying don't take out a match and blow up all bridges as you leave and try to go out on your own?
Not if you think you might have to cross that bridge
Right,
again at some
exactly.
point. But it's not that hard to start your own business. It's not. It's
It's
a lot of
daunting to
hard
think about
work.
it.
It's harder to convince yourself and have enough courage to just go do it. And I know so many people that have finally went and they did it, and they're so grateful for it. There's so much to be said about it. You have independence a lot of times where you're able to take time off that maybe you can't at a regular job. The harder you work, the more money you make. That's just reality of it. Take a chance. There's nothing you can't do if you set your mind to it and get trained on certain things. And if you're good at whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're good at planting crops, go start a farm or start a horticulture business or whatever. Every one of us is good at something. You just have to find out what it is you're good at and then excel at that,
And I think that's a good summary to end it on.
That's a good summary to end it on. So we would love to see as many people as we could at the 5K. If you're on the side of the road cheering us on,
Or participate and
or
walk with
participate. Push us.
us. Push us, yeah.
Physically push us. That's okay.
Physically.
Physically push us up the hill. Downhill, I think will be good. Probably need someone in the
Tim
front of us
gets
to slow us
pushed
down.
off the bridge. It's not me.
We don't
Somebody
finish
didn't like
this
one of your
together.
hot
It
takes
doesn't
today.
count. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, we'll have this up in a reasonable hour today. Unfortunately, we didn't get yesterday's show up until this morning because of technical issues on this end over here. But next week, pay attention. We'll have a keyword of the day. We're going to be giving a $50 gas card away. Like us, our Facebook page, and subscribe to us on YouTube. You'll get all the videos that way. And also on our Facebook page, I put up a lot of the stuff. I put up the plant sale at the school. So we're trying to put a lot of that out there. So stuff we talk about on the show, you see it. I put a link up for the Blackbeard's Cove golf on there as well, because we really enjoyed that. So that way it's a little easier for people to find these things. And sometimes the shows, we're about an hour and a half today, and which is about what we want to be. But so if sometimes it's hard to listen maybe for this long, but you can at least find the information too.
Yeah, well, maybe you found something interesting or something to get mad at us about, but look it up before you get too mad at us.
In the last 2 days, our last two shows, we had 93 listeners. So I think we're from 5 listeners to, I think we can say we have 93 listeners.
That's awesome. I appreciate the 93 of y'all that are listening and provide us with some feedback, anything you want us to talk about.
Thank you very much, Twin State Paving, for sponsoring all this craziness. Thank you to Corey Beard Sewer and Drain, Carrie Greenwood, Ed over to Kellyville Power Sports. Sorry, I keep messing that up. Kellyville Power Sports, hometown appliance. He sells sheds, he's got all that good stuff. And thank you very much to Victor and Miranda Stark for donating $100 to us as well. So we're at 305. Hopefully we'll have more before the end of the day here today or in the morning. And it's all going for a good cause. We'll see you out there on the roads, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend.